Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Libra September 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel the Saint James. If you're stopping by for the first time, if so, welcome, great to see you. And great to see also the subscribers back again. You know how much I love you. Truly I do. I really do. And as you subscribers know, there are no advertisements which cut into the content of this, so it doesn't have different video. You get to experience the whole video without interruption throughout. And speaking of experience, I've had the great pleasure of doing some one-on-one clairvoyant readings for a number of Librans from different parts of the world over the course of the last month. And if you might be interested in having a one-on-one clairvoyant reading or want to find out something about it, just check out the information that's in the description box below. And there's plenty of information there for you on the web link. Now, let's draw 5 cards for you. I have no idea what this deck is called. Incidentally, my son and daughter were out one afternoon in search of cocktails, I think, and they stumbled across a flea market and they found this deck which was wrapped up in string, no box, no papers with it, so I have no idea what it is. I do know that every card is present, but what it's called, I don't know. Not that it matters, I suppose, because provided all the cards are there as they are, then we can do the reading. So let's get something underway for you now, shall we? And see what's in store for you this month. What's this? Here we go. There is the universe. Oh, no, there's a Viking rune that's there, and also a Hebrew letter that is there as well. Now, there's a lot of spirituality associated with the particular Hebrew letters, and we'll talk about some of that with that card there, which is the universe. We shall see here. The Aeon. Geez, some things to be finished up, I think, for you. There's another rune and another Hebrew letter. And there, so you've got both Major Arcana 20 and 21, both come together. But not in that order. 21 first and then 20. So this is going to be quite straightforward. Well, what is going to be really interesting in this context are those letters, the runes, the Viking letters and the Hebrew letters. There is the 4 of Wands. Now that has a Chinese I Ching hexagram on it. Now fortunately I happen to know a bit about I Ching and the hexagrams, so we can discuss the meaning of that for you as well. You seem to be coming out, whatever you are. Nice waxy feel to these things here. This is Old Man, the father of stones in the West. We shall see what the Father of Stones in the West has to say for you in just a second. Come on, what's final? We'll see this poking out by the looks of it, and it is the 8 of Cups with a Chinese I Ching on it. Now, why don't you come now, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Well, let's start first, shall we, with this card of the Aeon. There's a rune and a Hebrew letter. Both of those will give us probably the great inspiration for me to determine what this card means, as well as this painting that's here. Now, looking at the painting, while at the bottom is a clear landscape, the sky is obscured with dark clouds, isn't it? Maybe an unknown and ominous future. The rivers run through canyons of great age. The land is dark, but green. Now on the left here is a blasted tree. It's been smashed by a storm of some description. And on the right over here, there are shadows, which we might expect. Now, beyond the flat land are hills and white mountains. You see those here? They are symbols of purity and abstract truth. Now, what I can also see here is you might just be able to make it out, this thing here with this little center hole, and spewing all this smoke out through there. The art is quite abstract, isn't it? But that volcano is there as well, and that looms behind the mountains. And if you put your head up, you can see, or rather look at this head up here. You can see it's a bird-like head, but with a human eye, interestingly enough. It is the goddess, a woman of the earth, a bird as the sky, ancient and suffering. And the baby that's in the center here, I think that speaks to you now of hope and renewal. Now, if you look at the top right-hand corner here, you'll see this rune that I was talking about. This is an ancient Viking letter of their alphabet, and that is Perthro. Now, this is a rune of mystery. It involves hidden things, secrets, and maybe even occult abilities. Now, drawing this card with this rune on it is a good indication that something that has remained hidden is about to come to light. Perhaps you'll find that there is going to be a disclosure of some secret. Unexpected gains and surprises may also come along here. There could be a gift, and if so, look carefully at the motives behind it. There is also, I see here, that in emotional matters, the indication of extreme sexual compatibility. I think that this can really also indicate very strong intuition. I'd even go so far as to say some sort of occult ability, but of course you need to go through the necessary initiation and training before you exercise it, lest you open yourself up to the dark force. And then in the top right-hand corner here, we have a Hebrew letter that's there. Now that's the 21st letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's known as Shin, basically, in the Hebrew, which is the letter of fire and transformation. Now Shin literally means tooth, and its shape, you can see it again. If you look at the shape there are three branches which look like flames coming off on it. These are the three pillars of the tree of life, reaching high like flames, purifying and changing the condition of your life. And it teaches you to become aligned with the whole of creation. It also represents the right and left extreme opposites, and the requirement to balance them by following the central pillar, the middle way. But you would understand that instinctively, I think. Now, both the tooth and the fire meanings that I ascribe to this letter of Shin refer to it as a process of transformation, breaking down, grinding into particles, building anew, cooking, the firing of a clay pot into form. The whole process of transformation, healing, breaking, and restoring. The fire also represents the unchangeable, the unmovable, and thus is a symbol of divine power. The spirit constantly transforms the matter, yet remains unchanged itself. Matter changes constantly, yet the spirit within does not change. So all of life is a process of learning to align with that unchangeable essence. Shin is the flame of the spirit which you must keep always burning within you. Now finally, I think with respect to this, I think this teaches you balance. The right, and to deal with it again here, the right pillar that is there is that of kindness and mercy. The left pillar over here deals with strict justice and truth. Now the world cannot continue without both, so you must take this middle path and balance between the two. In all aspects of life, you must find the middle way between the opposites and extremes. and particularly at this month for you. Now, looking at the arcana that actually coincidentally comes behind it, the major arcana card, is that of the universe. Now, incidentally, let's have a look. There is a symbol down the bottom here that I didn't mention. Now, there is the moon, and there is a representation of the sun, or one might also call spirit and matter. One might also call female and male, and the two are always in balance. Now, let's look at this one here. The Earth, which we can see here, whose bottom half, this is the bottom half of the Earth, is circled by a dragon. You see this green body that comes out here with this abstract dragon's head and breathing fire and what have you. Now, both are green, which is the color of new life. The fire is red, color of energy and blood, and white, color of pure thought. The serpent's breath burns away illusion, and this speaks directly to me at the moment of view of success, of becoming happier and more fulfilled, maybe also the recovery from an illness, and an exciting future ahead of you, satisfaction, and maybe a justified sense of pride in what you have achieved, and life opening up for you now. Now, looking at this rune that's on the corner here, this is Hewaz. It is a rune of protection. Now, you having drawn this card with this rune on it indicates that you have set your sights on a reasonable target and can achieve your goals. Now, there may be a slight obstacle or a delay or minor problems, but that won't cause too much trouble, so don't be too eager to move ahead. The obstacle or delay may very well prove to be beneficial to you, I think, or it's not going to turn out to be too big. Use your imagination and turn any situation to your advantage. Now, I'm also getting a feeling here of ties to the past, and this might mean that you might hear from someone from your past. This can also mean here, I'm getting a feeling that there's an indication that problems from your past that were not dealt with effectively could well be returning. That being the case, I'm sure you'll be able to deal with them. And then there is this Hebrew letter that's on the top here. Now, actually, that's the 22nd letter, or last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it says to be Tav. Now, it's the last letter of the alphabet. Now, what does it mean? Well, roughly, I think it means mark, or sign, or omen, or seal. That would be the translation. But beyond that, and more importantly for me, for you this month, it is the symbol of truth, of perfection and completion. Generally and spiritually, it represents the restoration of all of existence back to God. For you, it is a return to the essence and purpose of your life. It represents completion before beginning again. Now, this shows you that the end was set from the beginning. Now, Tav, or T, as the sound, is, you might be familiar with the Old Testament in the Hebrew Bible, or the Old Testament as it's called in the Christian tradition. The heading at the beginning of the first book of that work, the book of Genesis, the heading is said to be Bereshit. Now, the T on the Bereshit, that is the letter Tav. It is the last. Bereshit means in the beginning, the first word of the Torah or Bible. It is the idea that the Creator set in motion all of existence in order to reach a final state of perfection, the fulfillment of all creation. But as soon as something is reached, you begin again, immediately going back to another start another source. The end is never really the end, but the beginning of something new for you during this period. Now let's have a look at the central card here. Again, I'm getting the feeling of completion or after completion, things starting, regenerating and coming new. Let's look. Oh, there's a Chinese I Ching at the top. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's have a look at the image that's here. Gee, it's quite abstract, don't you think? And yet, really quite interesting, this art. Now, a hand offers a bubble. Now, when I say that, now, of course, I see this, you may see something else, but I see like a wrist coming down here with what looks like a thumb trailing off that way. And then there are the edge of fingers underneath there. There is a hand that is offering a bubble, in the middle of which is an eye. Now, I can see this eye. I can anyway. That's the beauty of abstract art, I suppose, that you can see in it many things. But I think you might agree with me that this does, when you look at it, look like an eye. See, there's the upper lid, there's the lower lid, and there's the pupil, the eyeball, looking out in that direction. That's there. Now, the bubble, I think, indicates new possibilities. Now, the spears, which are pointing up and down, they are perfectly balanced energies. Now, let's look at our I Ching character here. Now, when you look at these things, it takes a while to get to learn them, of course, but they're read from the bottom through to the top. The unbroken lines are yang, or male principle. The broken lines are yin, or female principle. And how they're arranged gives different meanings. Now, you can read them in couplets, like 2, 2, 2, or 3 and 3, but I prefer to read it as a 6 in this case, although I can sometimes dig into elements that are in there to flesh out some of the meaning. But in this case, what is the energy that's complementary to this scene that's here? This hexagram in Chinese is known as Qi Qi. Now, Qi is not to be confused with Qing Qing, which means girlfriend or mistress, I suppose. But Qi Qi means roughly translated as after completion. Now, see, again, there's that completion thing here. And the action to be taken by you at this time is renew. Now, I suppose that some people could find it strange that the concept of after completion is a principle that proceeds before completion in the Book of Changes, as it does in the hexagrams. But the hexagrams were probably arranged in that way to remind you that nothing ever comes to an end, which is what we were talking about before. Now, the message of this Qi Qi is that while the situation appears to be stable and in order, you need to plan for inevitable changes that will continue to occur. Now, when anything in nature achieves its highest expression or stability, it moves towards disorder, which is almost like the second law of thermodynamics, isn't it? And it also moves towards regeneration. It may be that what you are thinking about has reached a state of finality. Because this thing can also, I'm looking at the Chinese Qi Qi, can also mean already across. So it's already happened, is a sense, or before completion, or already happened. Now, the hidden influence of the before completion suggests that you examine where you are, but plan for the future. Now, this energy shows up as the underlying cause, which is another message to prepare. You may think that the situation is never going to change, but it is going to. You may think that you can rest on your laurels and enjoy complacency, but you cannot. it is important that you understand that in nature, everything is in a state of renewal. Now, while everything is in order, and you can feel a sense of success or arrival, you are urged to remain cautious. Anything that reaches a climax will begin to move in the opposite direction. That's just how the world works. While the situation appears to be complete, a new goal or a need for further growth and expansion opportunities will ensure that it does not become stagnant. Now, this is actually, if I'm looking at it closely also, it means water over fire. And that means that you must tend to the situation at hand so the water doesn't burn out or evaporate. All things require care and attention to continue in a constant state of wellness. Now, the individual, without going into the detail of it, the individual lines in this I Ching hexagram address the different stages you will encounter when going from completion to renewal. But the main point is here that something has crystallized, and it just might well be time to embark upon a new direction. Let's look at this card quickly. Now, here's an idea. Look, here's one of the reasons why I hate decks that have titles on them. Now, this title here is of failure, and it doesn't mean failure at all. Not at all. Now, let me look at the image first. That annoys me when I see something like that. But here the cups are in confusion, reflecting chaos. Lines of light, however, and flowing water give hope of a hidden joy that cannot be destroyed. Now, I'm so annoyed by that title of failure, which has got nothing to do with this, that I'm actually going to say something about failure, and it is this. The acceptance of our failures is, in reality, the acceptance of our Creator's perfection. One of our biggest mistakes is to ignore what happens within us. There is no shame in letting your Creator know that you are falling and that you need Him to pick you up. The fall of the ego becomes the rise of the soul. Your soul wants to meet you. It wants to breathe. It wants to speak. It wants to see with the clarity of the eyes of your heart. These eyes of the heart are the eyes bestowed directly by your Creator to witness Him and His pleasure. The friends of the divine are not in search of their own eyes. They are in search of His eyes. Nevertheless, let's have a look at this I Ching that's here. Stupid developers. Now, let's have a look at the I Ching, because there's a couple of masculine lines, a masculine line at the top. Look, this is in Chinese sun, which generally speaking can be translated as decrease. And the action that this energy is asking you to do is to evaluate things. The hidden influence is to go back. For everything that you have missed, you have gained something else. And for everything you gain, you lose something else. Life moves inward and outward in fixed rhythms, and it is time to turn back and evaluate. There is a period of flowering followed by a decline, although what appears to be turning back is really turning inward as life continues to move forward. Decrease is the only way to increase, because what is full cannot be filled anew. The hidden influence here shows This is a time for return, gestating, that is growing within, planning or turning inward. Trees are made stronger through pruning, while overwatering a plant can kill it. I know I've killed a lot of my plants, the poor things, by doing that. Now, decrease can still be a principle of growth, even when the message is to do less or remove. Now, you may need to cut back on one area of your life in order to direct more energy towards another. Now, the message of this energy suggests finding strength by removing that which isn't needed anymore, which is superfluous. Now, sun is the image of offering something freely in a ceremonial vessel to make a sacrifice in some way. Amazing benevolence is how you let go to discover what is rightfully yours. Now, you may need to give up something you feel is important as a commitment to conscientious growth with somebody else. Now, businesses often use a time of decrease to expand. If sales are down, distribution channels can become an opportunity to market new products. Those who understand the cycles know that increase will follow decrease and will use the time to fortify the foundation or to examine what is working for you and what is not. Whatever you may lose during this period will pave the way for something else and something better. Nature, of which you are a part, shows you that decrease is not a negative event. It is simply how it continues in its forward movement, even while appearing in an illusory way to be moving backward. Now, very quickly on this one, because we're running out of time, sadly. This is Old Man, or the Father of Stones in the West. I think the image is quite straightforward. Oh, that's a client. The image here is quite straightforward. I think that these are animal prints, these are human prints, cave art, and these are prints of spirit things here. Now, I think what this is saying that you will be patient and a hard worker, clever during this period. You'll be putting in, at a time for you to be working with your instinct rather than with your intellect. Use your work ethic to bring about results. And you could have a deep connection with Mother Earth. And understand this, that with every task that comes your way, comes also the energy needed to complete it. That's what we've got to do. I have to tell you that I thought that was a really interesting reading for you then. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did providing it to you. This is going to be a good month for you. I can see it here, and that's what it says for you now. So enjoy yourself. And of course, I'll then see you next month. And remember this though, until the next time I see you, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.